Hi Dallas, how you doing? I'm looking at your work, and actually I have been for a while. And I went back and I looked into week four, and I really have been thinking about this because I want this to make sense. I want this progression of comments to make sense to you because I think you've got a really good, solid foundation um, for which your presentation relies on the research that it's based on. So. Let me just say this. I think that if you look at this project as if it were a little bit different than other projects, meaning that this project is more concept driven. So the ideas behind your choices are just as important as the choices themselves. And that more mimics, I think, a studio setting than probably a lot of classes that we've experienced up till now, because a lot of classes up till this point are visual solution classes as opposed to concept driven classes. So that said, I think that you've kind of shifted gears on this project, and you've shifted gears into directly into visual solution. And I think that you've kind of forgotten about the concept development and the transfer of relevant research information that you've extracted from all of the research that you've performed up until this point. Okay, why am I saying that? Well, let's go back to week four, and this is really where I got the idea behind those comments. If we just take a look visually, and I'm just going to pop to week four, and I want you to take a look at the visual difference between this page and your Calgary Winter Olympics branding page. Okay, so, and this is a week later. So my point is this, okay, here I am, and I'm trying to show you that this relevant progression that might be, well, actually, that is mirrored in the studio or an advertising agency setting, where you're going to have an art director where you report to once, twice, three times a day, whatever the situation is, and you show them the work and have the work critiqued, and then you're going to go back and work on based on the critique. That's kind of how this class is set up, right? And that's awesome. But the thing is that when you come back to the next week or the next couple of days with the updated version, going from this visual to this visual is just such an enormous jump. Your art director is going to go, well, wait a second, Dallas, what happened? You went from, where did we get from this to this? Is the big question in my head. All right, so, and that's why I say it looks like you've just kind of relegated this to a visual solution. I'm going to suggest that we don't do that, and that we kind of go back to the roots of the project and really start considering the concept development and the research behind the project in order to drive our decisions. Okay? I know the steel trees was one of the concept developments. That's awesome that you picked that. That's great. Digital pictogram examples. These are fine. I mean, I was fine from these from the get. I thought that it would be interesting if you were to develop a set of pictograms based on each specific logo. But since the draw here, or the cement that's holding these together, is the fact that these are based on the family of man, while this is based on steel trees, that's enough for me, man. That's solid. I think that's solid, and that's enough to move forward with. So good job there. Jumping back to this week. Okay, so as an art director, you would be expecting to see, okay, we're going to go in this visual direction, or this visual direction, and what derivatives of the visual attributes in these three directions can I expect to see moving forward? This, I think, is such a shock that the art director is going to go, hey, wait a second. What do these triangles and these colors have to do with Calgary 2012 and all the research we've done so far? Do you see what I'm saying, Dallas? So you have to tie this all together, not only conceptually, but visually. For these reasons, I recommend against this visual solution. Is it fun? It's a blast. I love these guys. I think this is a blast. But it's not appropriate to the solution that we're really have been searching for. Okay? Let's look at the visuals themselves. The logo, it's really difficult for me to tell what your final version of your logo is, because here it is in one version with the triangles behind it and the type up here up top. Then here it is with the type only. Then here it is with the type below with the triangles. And then, do you see what I'm saying? And then here it is with the type on the side. Okay, and so I don't know which one is your final logo, and that's a problem. Okay, so you really got to think about a good, solid, visual, consistent presentation there. The Steel Trees logo, I think it's great. Let me zoom in here because I want to show you something. See how great it looks close up? And this is one of the things that you should really bring forth to you from your logo development design classes. So this is great. It looks great here, right? All these little fine nets, those are looking really awesome. But in logo design, we learned that those little fine lines are not going to withstand two things: resizing and production. So all the work you've done down here in these little fine, watch what happens to all those fine little lines when we zoom out. See what's happening? See how all the fine lines are now becoming a blob? That's an issue. Okay, see, now it's almost a solid blob completely. That's a problem, and that should be addressed, okay? The other thing is the logo itself. I don't think the rings should fall within the logo. I think you're taking the tradition itself out of. So my suggestion out of the Olympics and the whole logo and the whole association of your rendition and your research and your rendering of your conceptual vision of Calgary, and how that visually and conceptually ties with the Olympic event and the tradition therein. Okay, for these reasons, I recommend presenting the logo, and then the Calgary below it, 2012, can be tucked in there like you have it, or 2022. And try to work the rings, the Olympic rings, color rings in there. And take a look through some of the other presentations. A lot of students are having wonderful success working their rings right into their logo. Okay, real quick, I just want to share a presentation that warrants being shared. It's wonderful work. One of your classmates submitted. Take a look at this. Is, I think, where this project should be at this point. So I'm not saying it's better or worse or equal to your work. I think both are outstanding representational pieces of what we have in terms of what we're studying and what we're presenting and the project at hand. I just want to show you probably at this stage you should be as developed as, if not more developed than this. Here's a website. Here's a lot of different environmental graphics, the signs, the banners, the tickets, the inside of the arenas, merchandising, et cetera, et cetera. So think about that and think about where we need to be. So if you have any questions, get with me, please. I hope my comments make sense to you. I think we're at a critical point where your understanding is really, it's important. It's important to me too that you understand. So maybe let me know if this is making sense to you. Okay, Dallas, thanks very much. And I'm right here if you have any questions. Thanks.